One of the very few sitcoms I actually enjoy is All in the Family. Easily my favorite sitcom of all time. And sometimes I like to look up scenes from that show to watch and laugh at and overall enjoy. And sometimes I dare go into the comment sections to those videos, and usually it's littered with the same thing. Oh, they would never get away with this scene in 2019. People are so sensitive nowadays. Fuck the PC police. And also, it's filled with a bunch of conservative dumbasses who bitch about liberals all the time, and how supposedly everyone on the left are these good-for-nothing commies who want to ruin the world, whatever. It completely flew over their heads that the main protagonist of that show, Archie Bunker, is a satire of these exact kind of people commenting these things in the comment sections, but whatever, I'm not going to ruin their fun. That's where I initially started seeing these "you can't make jokes anymore" comments, and then I started seeing these on other videos that are scenes from older sitcoms or anything in particular that may be perceived as offensive nowadays. The comment sections are usually littered with "you can't joke about this anymore. There's no way you could get away with this kind of joke now." People are so goddamn sensitive nowadays. I wish people would grow some balls and act like how they were back in the good old days when people weren't offended so easily. Okay, you do know that societal norms change over time, and things that could have been funny 20 years ago aren't really perceived as funny now, like certain racist jokes or any other kind of jokes, because people kind of sort of evolve. People become more accepting, more inclusive, and those old jokes that may stereotype a certain group of people, or any kind of joke that a certain group of people would find very, very offensive, become old, and no one really finds it funny anymore because, again, things change. People grow, people evolve, and people these days are becoming more accepting of different types of people. So that's kind of why these jokes don't exactly land the way they did back 20, 30, 40, whatever years ago. There was a time many, many years ago that people loved blackface, and I know that's still the case these days. There's still some people out there who find blackface to be hilarious, and unfortunately one of them is a Canadian Prime Minister, but whatever, let's not get into that. Anyways, there was a time that people loved blackface, and that it was so funny to see white people come out on stage and perform in front of them with fucking blackface on, and people got a huge kick out of that back then. And what has happened since? The civil rights movement, abolishing Jim Crow laws, black people gaining more rights in this country, all of the sort, and people just don't find that shit funny anymore because that is highly offensive. Obviously now we're way past those times, and people are less racist generally than they were back then, and people look down on blackface and see it as highly offensive and very insensitive, and it's usually when photos are unearthed of people wearing blackface, they're usually chastised to no end, and because, again, people look down upon that shit now. That is not acceptable anymore in this time period. And this isn't joke policing or any of that. It is people saying, you are an asshole for what you did. It's not funny, it's very hurtful, and it's highly, highly offensive to a certain group of people. And again, you are generally an asshole if you find these kind of things funny. Whatever, go ahead, joke around with your friends. Be as offensive as possible with people who share the same sense of humor as you. Which, well, if they do share the same sense of humor as you, that means they have a complete lack of sense of humor. But anyways, the same people who find the same stupid shit to be funny like you do. That's what I mean. Anyways, joke around with them all the fuck you want, but don't expect society to go along with it, because not all of society is like you and your friends, okay? There are people who find certain things to be very hurtful, and if they hear these things, or if they see these things, they're gonna call it out for what it is: highly offensive garbage that is not funny in the slightest. Society is constantly changing. What is and what isn't acceptable is constantly changing, and that goes for jokes too. Certain jokes that people found to be hilarious many, many years ago are obviously going to be seen as offensive and not appropriate now, because, again, people have changed since those times. Things have changed since those times. You can take it as going soft all you want, but it's just the reality of things. That is just how people are. People changed from, previous times are not the same as current times, and obviously people have changed, so obviously things that are seen as acceptable way back when are not going to be seen as acceptable now. It is a very, very basic concept, and I really don't understand how certain people just can't grasp that, but apparently it's really hard to understand for some people because you get a bunch of these people on the internet complaining, you can't make jokes anymore, oh, cancel culture is such a terrible thing. Yeah, God forbid people call out people who, try to be, as edgy and offensive as possible when they're spewing all these unfunny fucking jokes that, only people who relish in that kind of quote-unquote humor would find funny. They go and bitch about cancel culture and all that shit. No, dude. People just see you as an unfunny asshole and they're calling you out for who you are. Okay? You don't have to act like a victim and coin this stupid term, cancel culture. Oh, I'm canceled, I guess, because people don't find me funny. Yeah, again, God forbid people call you out for being the asshole you are. So to wrap up, I'm going to reiterate, yes, you can joke about whatever you want. Be as offensive as possible, whatever. No one is actually stopping you. No one is going up and putting duct tape over your mouth and saying, no, you're not allowed to crack this certain joke. We don't allow that. No, that is not the case at all. But you can't expect all of society to just be perfectly peachy with the certain offensive, really offensive joke you cracked. Not everyone is the same. There will be some people who take offense over certain quote-unquote jokes, and it's up to you to be mindful of those people if you choose not to be scrutinized over your quote-unquote jokes. And I'm not talking about more offensive kind of humor, not actual humor, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who think they're funny by spouting out racial slurs, or think they're funny by, throwing out the most stereotypical joke about a certain group of people. That's what I'm talking about. The lazy kind of offensive humor, okay? If it's actually well thought out and actually funny, then fine, whatever. I don't care. But the kind of people I'm describing in this video who just throw out the laziest kind of quote-unquote offensive humor and expect people to just be okay with it, those people are complete assholes, and they can just go fuck themselves for all I care. Because they think spouting out nothing but racial slurs is the funniest thing ever, and then they wonder why no one wants to hang out with them. But I have some good news for you if you're like that. There's always an audience for that shit. Just go on 4chan, interact with those losers, spam the N-word 20 plus times, and they'll find that shit funny. They find it funny every time they fucking see it. It never gets old to them. So you have some friends over there, okay? Now go have fun. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.